forecast.
Yeah, let's jump right into the tropics. We have no tropical threats along the Gulf Coast of the U.S. in the next 10 days, which is great. But we've got Margot, still a tropical storm out in the eastern Atlantic Ocean. It's going to fizzle out eventually in the open ocean and pose no threat to any land areas. We still have Hurricane Lee, of course. It has weakened a bit thanks to some wind shear, now down to a Category 3 storm. And it might weaken a little bit more heading into the new weekend, going into today and into tomorrow. It's still going to move to the west and northwest, going into the next 24 hours, possibly down to a Cat 2, and then it might strengthen again back to a Cat 4 going into maybe early next week. The core and the big impacts still stay north of the Caribbean, though the northern Caribbean and Bahamas might see some dangerous rip currents, of course, some high seas, but really the big impacts stay away from the Caribbean. Great news. It's still expected to slow down in the southwestern Atlantic this week. So Lee is going to kind of park out in the southwestern Atlantic until Thursday of the new work week. And then it's going to kind of get driven to the north. So it's going to lose its steering mechanism, which is an area of high pressure now. That will not be really the case this week. And then a trough will come off the U.S. East Coast. That will help drive it to the north. Bermuda has to watch it closely. It might move right over Bermuda, maybe a little bit to the west. Time will tell. But the good news is, as that trough comes off the East Coast, it'll bring some shear, some dry air. That will help weaken Lee as it gets pulled to the north. Good news there. It's still a big question mark. Where is it going to end up? Will it be a much weaker system moving into New England and Atlantic Canada, or will it completely miss any land areas? It's hard to say this far out in time. This is all the way until next weekend. We're just going to have to closely watch this. So if you live in New England, the Canadian Maritimes, really keep a close eye on Lee. In the meantime, the U.S. East Coast is going to really be spared from Lee. Just seeing some dangerous beach hazards along the U.S. East Coast this week. Maybe some coastal flooding, some coastal erosion, rip currents, and dangerous surf. But the really big impact should stay well off the east coast of the United States this week, but possibly moving into New England as a weaker system going into next weekend. Like I said, along the Gulf of Mexico, we stay quiet when it comes to the tropics in the next 10 days, and we have a beautiful weekend on the way. Drier air moves in, makes for less mugginess, especially later today. Really tomorrow, you'll notice the drier feel. It's going to stay hot and mostly dry all the way until the middle of the new work week. Not until Wednesday do our rain chances come back. It's a wonderful morning. Temperatures in the 60s on the North Shore. Lots of sunshine. 70s south of the lake right now. Beautiful today. Really no problems, though it is still going to be pretty hot. Our temperatures will be above average, getting to the lower 90s today, but the lower humidity starting to trickle in as the day progresses makes it feel more pleasant when you step outside. So if you are heading to the Tulane football game, perfect for tailgating, full sunshine, no rain, winds from the north coming in at 5 to 10 miles per hour, giving us that drier feel that will last throughout the afternoon, and especially tonight, you will notice a difference with that drier air that's going to be here. High temperatures before that, lower 90s across the area, maybe upper 80s right along the coast. And during the evening hours, we'll have those clear skies and temperatures will cool down again to the 60s north of the lake and probably still lower 70s on the south shore. So nighttime and early morning, that's when you notice how much better it feels outside. We turn dry all the way until Wednesday. Really, that's when our rain chances come back Wednesday, Thursday. Also, humidity is going to come back Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. That's ahead of our next cold front that should bring some much drier air here to the deep south next weekend. So it's going to be hot the next few days. Temperatures will get into the 80s heading into the second half of the new work week. If you are heading to the Saints game tomorrow, looking great. Lots of sunshine. Not humid once again. 7-day forecast, hot until the middle of next week. Then we get into the upper 80s with those higher rain chances.